Hi, Mary.
Hello there, Claire. How are you?
Good. We were just discussing that you live just a couple hours from where I was born and raised.
Yes, small world. And now you're nowhere near that.
Nowhere near that. No, no. So, yeah. So I just wanted to, first thank you so much for being here, for having this conversation. And I just kind of want to read just a quick bio of you and kind of what you do so that folks can kind of understand all the stuff that you sort of have your hands in. So as an author, entrepreneur, and mom, Mary Kathryn Johnson has created success for over 13 years. A fall while pregnant with her second son landed her with 2 broken legs, her first book and business. And she is now in her third business, helping other parents create their own life and work success through podcasting, writing, and online courses. And that is really a story. I mean, I was saying to you an email earlier this week, I just was like, what do you mean? 2 broken legs when you're pregnant? And then to hear that you were 8 months pregnant, it's unbelievable. So, I mean, please start us there because it's such an interesting place for the rest of us to hear about. I don't know if you like reliving it though.
Getting distance from it. I love reliving it. When I was in it, no, definitely not. But I have to tell you, Claire, it's really weird when it happened. The doctor looked at me and said, it's much more common than you think. I'm like, well, I've never heard of anybody doing this. What are you talking about? So basically, this is what happened. I was in my neighbor's house. We went over my 3-year-old at the time, and I went there to swim. And she's next door neighbor. We usually go in and out of the garage door, right? It's the neighbor. You walk down the street and into the garage because the garage door's open. So we go back in the back and we're swimming and everything's great, having a great time. And she has 2 kids, ages 4 and 5. So we have a 3-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 5-year-old. And so we were done swimming and we're leaving out the front door because the kids were playing with something in the living room. So we were leaving out the front door, which I normally didn't do. And the front door to the first step of her porch is it's actually over 9 inches deep. And a stair riser, the building code, a regular stair is no more than 7 inches. So I've got an 8-month baby hotel, right? I've got 3 tired but overly anxious kids running out the door around me, and I'm going to step, and I stepped wrong. I had hard cork sandals on, flat sandals, like Birkenstocks type sandals. So if I stepped kind of on the outside of my foot, the sandal didn't give. It wasn't soft. So it started to snap over. So I went to catch myself with my other foot and same thing, stepped wrong, totally off balance. And when I stepped with my left foot, I heard a pop. And I proceeded to roll down the remaining 3 steps. And I landed with 2 broken legs. Just from those steps. And it's because
3 steps or 4 steps, 4 steps.
Yeah. And it wasn't even rolling down the steps. It was the step itself when I stepped out the door. And it's because in late term pregnancy, there's a hormone that our body releases called relaxin. And basically it does exactly that. It relaxes the ligaments to get ready for delivery, but it relaxes all the ligaments. Okay. Wow. Not just delivery ones. So there was nothing to hold in the bones when I kind of was clumsy, and they just snapped. So I broke a bone in my foot on my right foot and my ankle, a bone in my ankle on my left, and had to have casts up to the knee until my son was about 2 months old after he was born.
So what were you doing? You were hanging around in a wheelchair? You were in bed? Or what were you doing with a 2-month-old?
So I had to deliver that way. Okay. So I got casts on that day, or that night, actually the next day in the morning, early morning hours, because this was about 4:00 in the afternoon. I had a walking cast on the bone that was broken on my foot. So that bone, I could actually have a walking cast. So they had a little thing on the bottom so that I could actually put pressure on that foot. But my left, I couldn't put any weight at all because it was my ankle. So at first they gave me crutches. I'm like, are you crazy? Are you crazy? I'm off balance already and you're going to give me crutches. You want me to break my neck? Okay, so no, that's not going to work. And then they gave me a walker, like a regular little walker that little old ladies walk around in, right?
Right.
And so I put the walker a few inches and hopped, and put the walker a few inches and hopped, and that's how I got around. Or I got smart. I used my office chair, which was a rolling chair. So I sat on that and rolled myself all over the house. Yeah, it was an adventure, to say the least. It was just an amazing adventure that basically changed my life. It really changed my life, because from there, I'm a very independent person. So I couldn't take a bath. I couldn't take a shower. I couldn't wash my hair. I had very long hair at the time, like down to the middle of my back. I didn't have a sink big enough to wash my hair. I couldn't stand long enough to wash my hair. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't cook. I couldn't clean. I couldn't work. I mean, I really went into a depression, and I had never been depressed before. So it was a new experience for me. I couldn't play with my son. I mean, little things that we take for granted, I couldn't do. And it really made me take a hard look and see, you're not permanently disabled, woman. So you better get up and figure this out. And that's what I had to do.
Wow. So, okay. How do you then, launch a business and do all this stuff in the midst of this? I mean, I just remember when I have one baby, well, now she's 2, and I really felt that in the first 3 months after she was born that I was a subhuman. Like, I couldn't really I also have very high needs for sleep, so that was an immediate problem. But I really couldn't function. I couldn't do anything, and I didn't understand how anyone got anything done, typically. So, I mean, how did you start building?
I didn't. So to chronologically talk about this, really, I didn't start building a business until he was 18 months old. Okay. So 18 months old and almost 4.
Yeah.
Or about 4 was my older one.
Okay.
And really what happened in this process, I was gaining enough distance from it. Because when you're in the middle of the tornado, you're not going to think about getting out or what you're going to do afterwards or what somebody outside the tornado is doing. Right. You just don't. You're in it, like you just said. So in that, I didn't. I had to think about getting back to work. I had to think about, figuring out what I was going to do. But I have to reverse it a little bit and talk about my first pregnancy. It took us a year to get pregnant the first time, and I had a miscarriage within about 2 months. Then it took us another year to get pregnant, and I had another miscarriage almost to the day of the first. Wow. And then we were pregnant with my first son about 2 months later. So through that whole process, that was so foreign to me, coming from a large Italian family. Every woman in my family got pregnant before the age of 20. They were in their teens, whether they wanted to or not, whether it was planned or not, that was normal. I am at 35, starting with my first pregnancy. I'm thinking, my body just doesn't know what to do, right? Mm-hmm. So when I finally got pregnant, I felt like I'd finally passed the toughest course I had ever taken, procreation. Okay. And so I went to my Windows 98 computer and I typed up an Excel spreadsheet to look like a report card. And I took that, it was a fall semester report card, and it said Pregnancy 101 A+, Pregnancy Prevention F, right? I'd finally failed that course. Awesome. And I took that spreadsheet down to my local sports shop in the mall, took a blank white maternity shirt I bought from Target and said, "Can you put this on this?" And they said yes, and they did, and I wore it everywhere and got comments like you wouldn't believe. I mean, the whole proverbial someone stopping me in the airport, "Oh my gosh, where did you get that?" And I kept telling people, "I just made it. You can make it." And I proceeded to try and tell them how to make it. And they're looking at me like, "I don't want to make it. I want to buy it." Oh my goodness, really? Before I could do anything about that, I went into early labor.
Oh man.
And I was hospitalized for a week on drugs, to keep the baby in, and then had the baby and life explodes and, didn't even think about it. Mm-hmm. Pull out that shirt for the second pregnancy. Then I break my legs. So, once I got past this whole situation, I went back to work, and something in the back of my mind just couldn't let go of that report card shirt. Because I had done a lot of other designs and ideas and all that stuff in my first pregnancy, but didn't do anything about it. And for some reason, thinking about that and looking back on this experience and telling myself, you know, if you can get through this with your sense of humor intact, you can do anything, really anything. And so I kept thinking about that going, I need to do this. If I can do the broken legs thing, I can start a business. I mean, you know, the naive me thinking it's not going to be a big deal. If I could get around with 2 broken legs, I could start a business. Can't be that hard. Yeah. Anyway, just like people who don't have kids and they think, oh, I can have kids. It's no big deal. It's not that hard. Yeah. Until you are faced with it. Yeah. We just wait. So that's when about 18 months later, when I got enough distance from it, I could look back in it. I combined the 2 things and I went, I can do this. And I was working part-time and I still had to juggle an 18-month-old and a 4-year-old and how I can, you know, startups, you're consumed. You have to constantly have your focus on that. So I really had to try and segment my time and turn off my brain, my creative brain, as much as I could. When I got flashes, I just had a notepad next to me and I would write things down. And when I was with the kids, I had to sit and be with the kids. So I didn't have to do it when I had broken legs and a 2-month-old. Okay.
Right. So is this when you started segmenting, is this when you came up with the concept of a power schedule, or when did that come in, and can you walk us through what that is?
Yes, definitely. Part of it. I definitely had, remember this was 2003. So I didn't have very many of the computer programs that we have now. Sure. And so I would use a schedule on the refrigerator. And what I did then, because of course there's an 18-month-old and a 4-year-old, they don't understand that mommy might need to get something done. So I would color code the schedule. So I would actually put it up, a big schedule, and when it was time we were going to go to the park, or if someone was going to have a play date and come over here, or we were going to watch a Thomas the Tank Engine movie. Okay, whatever we were going to do for the kids, I would color code it their favorite color. And if I had to do something myself, I would color code it my color. So whenever they would come, if I had to get an order out, there was a rush order or something, because I would make the maternity shirts, I made all myself. So when if I had to do a rush order and I had to get it done and they were like, Mommy, I want to do this, Mommy, I would bring them to the calendar and go, look, see, and of course I could help them learn time too. See, this is the time it is now. And this time Mommy has to do, can you just play with this? And then here, we're going to do your thing. See your color here? Wow. Where your color's coming up. And so that's kind of the version of the schedule I did then. Now I have it on the computer. I have put everything on my schedule. My husband knows, if he's like, can you call the blah, blah, blah today? I'll be like, put it on my schedule, dear, because if it's not there, it's not happening. Don't tell me it's not going to stay in my head. It's not. And so that's basically my schedule is everything I'm going to do, both the kids stuff. And again, it's still color coded because I use like a Google Calendar. So you can color code the different calendars, right? I do the same thing now, only it's online.
So you use a Google Calendar. Do you also have a paper calendar these days? No.
Nope. No, the only thing I have in a paper is like my journal, and it's not. I do have, the Freedom Journal, Mr. JLD's thing. I do use that for any particular goals, but the only thing I really write down daily is just a blank page journal, and that I have more of a morning routine, so that I follow my morning routine in that journal, and I call it Power.
Okay, so before we get into the morning routine, tell me, do you have a separate to-do list somewhere, or no? How does your to-do list fit in with your calendar?
My to-do list is on my calendar. So if I have a to-do list that I need to do, I put it in my calendar. Period. The only other part of that to-do list I have is part of my morning routine is the top 3 things I need to get done today. So beyond my calendar, I'll write my top 3 things I have to get done in my journal. And then that goes into my calendar. But otherwise, the night before, if I haven't done whatever I needed to do that day, it gets switched to whenever I can do it again. But everything is on my calendar. I don't write anything separately on a to-do list, no.
Okay, so now walk me through exactly what your morning routine looks like and how you developed it.
I have to give kudos to Mr. Hal Elrod, which I'm sure the Miracle Morning. I interviewed him, and I adapted it to me, and I was doing some of these things, but it really coalesced after I interviewed him. So power, the letters for power, the first P is for peace. Okay. And that's for me, meditation. And I use Headspace. an app on my phone called Headspace. Love, love, love that. I'm on the creativity pack right now and love it. It's 30 days of creativity based meditation. So I start with that, and I usually can't go more than 15 minutes. I'm just not. I stick with 15 minutes or less. I tried the 20 minutes and I can't. Anyway, 15 minutes of meditation. The O for me in power is, I refer to that as openness. And to me, if I'm going to try something new, I have to be open to it first. Even if I really don't know what it's going to feel like or what it's going to look like, I walk myself through what I think it'll look like. So if I'm going to make a phone call to someone, let's say I want to, I'm hot on the heels of a couple of celebrities that I want to interview. And I talk myself through what I would say if I got them on the phone, or if I get their assistant on the phone, how I'm going to try and get through. So I put myself through that. So that is more of a visualization. But I call it openness because we don't do things because we're closed off to them and scared. And the only way I can get myself past that is walking myself through in my mind what it might look like, even though it almost never looks that way in real life, right? Because I've never experienced it. So I don't know what it's going to look like until I'm in it. Sure. But at least that opens me up to it.
Sure.
And then the W is my who, what, and why. So who needs my love, my attention, my patience today? Most of the time that's my kids, not as much because they're older now, but it might be a client. It might be me. I've gone through times when I need my own love and attention and patience, but I write that person's name down and think about what I need to do for that person. The what are the top 3 things that I have to get done today in order to feel like it's successful and I'm moving myself forward. Not just 3 to-do list things, but 3 things that'll move me forward. And then why? Why the heck am I getting out of bed at 5 o'clock in the morning to do this? Why? Why is this important? Why am I here? Why did I wake up today? Right? Why? And then the E is exercise. Minimum of a 1 to 2 mile walk with the dogs, and then my own stuff after that. And then R is for reading. Doing some kind of reading. If I just need to do nonfiction and escape into a fantasy world today, that's what I do. If I'm really focusing on learning something new, I want to learn something more on Facebook ads, and I'm reading some blog posts from Rick Mulready or Amy Porterfield or whoever, then I'll read that. But it's some kind of reading in addition to the exercise and the other things. That's power for me. And it takes me usually no more than an hour.
So an hour to do all of that. And what do you do right after your morning routine is over? What is the next thing that happens?
I get myself ready for the day. So I shower, get myself ready. The kids are gone. The husband's gone. If he's not gone, he's doing his own thing. And I get myself ready for the day.
And so that is when you go in. Is that when you do your deep work, or what type of work do you typically do in the morning?
The first thing is those first 3 things in the what. What are my top 3 things? So those are the first 3 things I do in the day. I tackle them. And they're usually the things that might be a little scary for me, or the things that I had to open myself up to. Yeah. So I have to do those first, because if I put them off, I know myself, it won't happen. I'll make as many excuses as I possibly can to not have to do them or put them off, or I need a snack, or I, need to whatever,
Yeah. Yeah.
It'll not happen, and I'll have to face the same thing again tomorrow. And I don't want to face it again tomorrow. So I try and get it done.
So how does all this work when you balance being a parent as well? Because that's really kind of the big question, right? Is how can you do all of this when you've got kids running around and kids under your feet? Yeah,
it's you can do it more slowly. It's not going to happen as fast. I can't lie to you and say, oh yes, you can do it all and you can balance it all. First off, the word balance is a myth to me anyway. And when you talk about work and life, because it's like that one pivot point, right? In the fulcrum, it doesn't exist. I look at it more as choices. So that's why it's on my calendar. What am I doing right now? If I need to focus on the kids and do something, like I said, watch Thomas the Tank Engine, I'm not going to have my phone next to me. The first thing I do, the only way I can make this happen, is I do not have any notifications on my phone. Period. I don't have email notifications, Facebook notifications, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat.
None of it.
Nothing pings at me on my phone. That's number one. If I'm going to engage on Facebook, I go to Facebook.
Right.
If I'm going to engage in Snapchat, I go there.
Right.
So that's number one. Otherwise, I'd be going crazy. So I have to segment my time. I have to interviewed someone who gave a great analogy. Stop, change, start. So if I'm working and I need to transition to my kids, stop. Change in my head. What am I focusing on now? And then go start with the kids.
Yeah.
And so a couple little things, they're just mechanical things that prompt me. I shut my windows down on my computer. So I put my computer to sleep if I'm going to go change to my kids. Because I'm one that has 10, 15 windows open at the same time.
Sure.
I shut it down and put my computer to sleep. And then it kind of shuts it down in my own mind, right? And then go with the kids. The other thing I did to go the other direction is I had a little table in my office and the kids would do their work. We would have a work time in the afternoon. The kids would do their work while mom worked.
Oh, wow.
And I had my old computer when I upgraded my old computer, I had all kinds of fun stuff. Right now we just have apps, right? So they're going to swipe things and play things on their iPad. But I had physical machines that I would attach to the keyboard for Thomas the Tank Engine, let's say, or Winnie the Pooh even. And it looked like a little control panel for Thomas with his face on it. And they would touch things and it was attached to the keyboard so that it would push certain keys and make things happen on the screen. They loved it. So that was their work time. I saved those games for the times that I needed to work. And so we all worked together. Or when they got a little older, they would do their homework while mom worked, or, do their little coloring books or whatever. I had all kinds of those. And nowadays there are so many people online that have free printables and all kinds of things that you can do so that they worked at the same time I did.
That's fabulous.
It was choices though. We can't multitask. We can't work and watch the kids at the same time. One is going to suffer, or both.
Right.
Because we're not focused.
Right.
So we have to make choices. Is this going to be work time? Because I tried, Clara, I had a BlackBerry, that had my schedule and stuff in it way back in the day. And I went to the park with that BlackBerry in my pocket and I slid down the slide with my kids and it wiped my BlackBerry clean.
Wow.
Electricity. So that was that was basically a lesson to me, like, okay, Mary, you're trying to multitask too much. I'd get off there and look at my BlackBerry and check things. It wiped clean. So, okay, I guess I'm not working anymore.
That is an incredible lesson, though, for parents who are entrepreneurs, the power of separating two things. What an incredible thing to have happened to you.
Things like this happen for a reason to me because I'm not smart enough to figure them out myself. I'm only smart enough to see them for what they are and use the lesson. That's the only thing I can say that I've done. But something had to hit me over the head to make me do it, like breaking my legs or, having my BlackBerry wiped because I went down the slide with it in my pocket. I mean, how silly.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you, Mary. This was such a fun conversation. Can you tell people what you're working on today, what you're really focusing on, and where folks can find out more about some of your work?
I would love to. Thank you for the opportunity to do that. Parent Entrepreneur Power is what we've been talking about, because I do believe that once we become parents, we really do have a power that we can tap into through this growth to do anything. If you want to overcome fears, if you want to build a business, if you want to communicate with someone that you're scared to communicate with, tap into the things that you've learned and grown as a parent, and you'll find the strength and you'll find the tools. Patience, perseverance, adaptability. I mean, all those things. We have to use them everywhere. So parententrepreneurpower.com is where I live there. But I'm working on a new site. I'm helping beauty professionals use social media and technology to grow their practice because they're not really using it very much now. So Beauty Tech Tools is that. And it's just a new little project I'm using. And that's because a lot of my clients, parent entrepreneur clients have been beauty pros. And so they've basically said, we need this, and this. Can you help us? And I said, okay, sure. But really, MaryKathrynJohnson.com is where I have everything I'm working on, books and blogs and products, and Mommy Loves, the original maternity, the store that we were talking about that I started. Email Mary@parententrepreneur.power.com. I would love to chat with anyone and help anyone. And again, as much abundance as we can provide to the world, it comes back to us tenfold.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mary. I really appreciate this.
Thank you.